I have Tim Amon with me, and he was a hard rock and roll musician. He was in the entertainment business industry for 35 years, but he overdosed and died, saw hell. He saw famous musicians in hell. He also saw heaven, which I find very interesting because I'm now talking to a lot of people who had a hell experience, but then saw heaven. He heard angelic music. I mean, there is so much to his story. Okay, Tim, take me back to the beginning.
Well, I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, middle class family, inner city. So I kind of grew up fast on the streets, was in the music business very early, knew a lot of top musicians at that time. Well, just for an example, David Bowie came to my 16th birthday party. And so I was hanging out with that kind of crowd, and of course all the drugs and that, which was about $500 a day for 30 years. And yeah, it was a it was a lifestyle that had nothing to do with God. I didn't believe in Jesus, didn't believe in heaven, didn't believe in hell. I mean, it was all a big facade, which the rock and roll business is. I mean, you see these 3-minute clips, but these people are like really hurting. It's just that big facade of this glory or whatever you want to call it. And
I mean, but did you think like the rock and roll musicians, and you had met so many? I mean, did you think that, wow, I want to have a life like them?
Yeah, that was my aspiration then, of course. So, I started playing around town, and then by the time I was like 17, and then I got offers on the road, and went on the road and was on the road all the time. And yeah, in the meantime, I was living with some girl, and we had 2 children, which wasn't a good situation because of all it was, all the violence and drugs and all that. And I mean, yeah, if you're involved in, all that and you have all that physical violence, I just want to say, you got to get out of it because there's no cure for that except Jesus. He's the only one that can cure that problem. So, but anyway, yeah, just living that whole crazy lifestyle and the whole thing, new cars every year and houses and boats and limos and everything else. And it's all about all that kind of stuff. And then yeah, and then one day on that September 1st, 2000, that's that's the day where I went upstairs to shoot another speedball, they call it, heroin and coke. And I just blacked. Everything went black, and it wasn't just darkness. It was an atmosphere, which was very. I knew something was going on. I mean, and then I just like fell through the bed. It felt like I fell backwards into the bed. I heard the thump, but I didn't feel anything. And then I just felt like I was going downward and downward and downward. Then all of a sudden, I was like in this place, and it was sheer horror, and I could hear screams and yeah, just saw some demons there. Now, this is all stuff I never really believed in. I didn't believe in heaven, hell, any kind of angelic or demonic entities or anything like that. And yeah, so I was there, and then so I realized, hey, I'm in hell. Everybody told me about this place, but I never believed any of them. And then I could see these demons coming for me. They had these chains, and the chains just like dragging on the ground, and you could hear them coming closer and closer. And that sound stuck in my ears for like 10 years. I couldn't get that out of my ears. And then, yeah, and then I saw them, and they were like horrible, grotesque creatures. They look like the ones I saw at this time. They looked like melted wax. Their faces and stuff. Just black and brown, and yeah, it looks like their face has been melted. But I think, on that subject there, I didn't really know anything about God or anything at that point. But it says that he went into hell for those days, and I think when he showed his glory on the third day, that he just melted all those demons. I mean, their faces and all that. I mean, as he arose, ascended. But yeah, it's a place you don't want to be. None of your friends or your enemies or anybody. It's a terrible place.
Now, did they get the chains on you?
No, no, they didn't. I was they were coming. Okay, they were on my right side coming in with the chains, and then I saw stacks of body on the left side, and it was like the gate of hell because I wasn't inside of this gate. I was outside of it still. And yeah, the gate itself was like blown, like inward, like hanging on its hinges. And yeah, and then from there you could see little fires and that, and screaming, and then I heard people screaming my name, which really, like, I was like, whoa, I've really been betrayed here. Because in the rock business, everybody always said, oh, this is a party place, and all this nonsense. There's no party in there. I mean, it's sheer horror, torture, and yes, things you couldn't even explain.
Now, did you see anyone at that point or hear anyone that you knew or were famous?
Yeah, yeah, I'm not going to say any names, but I could feel like them trying to grab me, like their fingers and that. I mean, just trying to grab me in that. It was, yeah, it was really creepy. I mean, you couldn't even, there's not a horror show that could even imagine the horror that's there. And yeah,
Now, did you see those? Did you see them or just hear them or both of the various ones that were well known? And were they well known during that period of time or were they known for decades? I'm just curious the well known rock musicians you saw or heard.
they were have already passed away. So they were probably famous during the 70s and the 80s and 90s, I would say.
But they were collectively trying to get you in there. And were they doing it with the demons?
Yeah, there were several of them that were like trying to, I could feel their little bony hands and trying to pull me in. But I think, it's a place of torture. I mean, they were tortured too. I mean, as far as I could tell, I saw a quick view of these pits, and the skin of people were just like burned off, and then it would reappear. And like there's these worms and that, and I mean, the screams were, I mean, you couldn't even imagine how death defying the screams and all that were. I mean, there was no life there. It's like voices without life, if that's possible. And that there's nothing good there. It's total evil, total. Yeah, every bad thing. There's not one good thing there, not one.
Now, there was something, Tim, that I had heard you say us on or and read that at first, when you were having this encounter in 2000, that you at first heard angelic voices at first.
Yeah, that day as I was around the house and that, had an old Victorian house, and then it was I had it all fixed up, and then of course the drug addiction, and by that time, I mean it was as bad as I was. You know, I mean all the polished floors and all that were just all stained, and everything was decayed, just like my soul. But yeah, that whole day, I've been in music studios all over the world, and I've heard every kind of sound, or most of the sounds. But yeah, there's a sound there I could not capture. I mean, the whole day is an angelic sound, and I didn't know where it's coming from, but I could hear it clear as crystal. I couldn't even describe the if it was instruments or yeah, it was just something beyond this world. That's why the worship in that of this world isn't anything like what's up there. And that, yeah, it's some beautiful stuff.
And
Beautiful.
so I'm just really wondering, because I know your mom prayed for your salvation, and I'm wondering, was then this spiritual fight? Because first you hear of heaven, really angels, but then all of a sudden, how did that stop when you all of a sudden you were having this hell encounter?
Well, everything stopped when I fell on that bed after I injected the heroin and the coke.
So then, what happened when they were trying to get you into through that gate?
Well, the next thing that happened, besides the things I just said that was around, the stacks of bodies and all of that, a bright light appeared, and it was come from above. And inside of the light, you could see a outline of a man in that, and you just know. I mean, just like I knew it was hell, I knew that was Jesus. I mean, there's no introduction needed in this realm in that. So I just like went right into him. Is he saved me? He just like pulled me right into him. I can't say if he pulled me or, I mean, like the next thing I knew, I was in him. And, I could see what he was seeing. I could hear what he was hearing. I could uh, taste. All the senses were like um, times 1,000 in this realm, good and bad. In hell, 1,000 times bad. In heaven, 1,000 times good. And 20 days after, he nonstop visited me after that. And then after that, I mean, for years, I mean, he would just show up. It was just crazy.
Okay,
Like
well,
what?
what kind of things did he tell you, Tim? Though, like when he first did he tell you anything about your life or what your life is going to be like? And did you also see his face?
Yeah, his face is so bright that to actually like describe it would kind of be impossible to get the exactness of the brightness. Because also I've seen him with like lightning bolts around him of every color, blue, gold, and that, and just, I mean, I think that's the closest I came to full glory of seeing him. So this experience, from what I could tell, lasted 7 or 8 hours, and he just told me good things, like how much he loves me, and I've been calling you since you were born, and then all these crazy moments that like he saved me from bikers. I would start fights with bikers, and just nonsense stuff, which I should have been dead every night. And the car wrecks, there was 12 car wrecks, little two-seater, sports cars, and they were, just like wrapped, I mean, into telephone poles and off of bridges. I mean, just crazy. And I never got hurt. And so he reminded me of all that, but he reminded me of it in love, like, I'm the one that did all that for you. Because, I was thinking, oh man, I'm pretty cool. I can, do all this, which is so stupid. And so, yeah, it was all him. It was all him, always love all my life. I mean, it had a protection around me. And he just explained, a little bit about who he is, that he is love, and that was something I looked for, in the world, with the women and the drugs and material stuff and everything else, but never found it until I found him. And then it was just like, wow, I mean, what do you say when love comes to you, I mean, you just say, yeah, I mean, jeez. I mean, I might be dumb, but I ain't that dumb.
Well, Tim, wait, there's a lot more to your story, and we're going to get to it. And they're also going to be doing a movie on your. I can't wait to see it. And but thank you everyone for subscribing and for also supporting my channel now. And we're going to get to Tim some things that you saw in heaven, and even an encounter that a famous rock musician had when the power of God was operating through you. But I want to know, when you got out of hell, did you see your body down there? How did it feel going back into your body?
Well, after he was done talking to me and said, "Hey, um, I've saved you for this reason." He says, "Timmy, I saved you. Now you go save my children." And that was the command, the only command that he gave me at this point. And it was a firm command. Everything else was like, really just beautiful love story. And then at that point, I could see my body in hell. We were still like above hell and looking at it. And then all of a sudden, the scene changed to um, my dead body lying on that bed. And then I'm up above the bed, and he says, "Move your arm." And I see my arm move, and he says, "Move your other arm." My other arm moves, and he said, "Move your leg," and my leg moves, and so on. And he says, "No, get up and go." And at that point, I came into my body. And then boom, I just jumped right off that bed. I was like, whoa, this is incredible stuff. Because I knew what happened. I mean, there's no way of turning back at that point of saying, hey, I can't believe, any of this stuff. Because once you see him and all that, I mean, there's no excuse. So, yeah, so that's how I started this whole thing.
Now you still were having like warfare, and now well before we get even to that, well, tell me about the 20-day encounter with the Lord. What was going on then? What was He showing you?
He was showing me different things in heaven. He was I think he like downloaded first like the Bible in me because I never read it or anything. And then by the time I read it, which was still another year later or whatever, I just knew this stuff. Like, oh, you already told me about all this stuff. So it was, yeah, it was quite amazing. And then, I mean, just the different revelations he was giving me in that I never heard such stuff before on on all of this. And yeah, he's just pouring his love out on me. And I think one of the ways, I mean, and maybe I'm just such a hardhead that he just had to show me, like, okay, you saw hell, now this is heaven. And then he showed me many places in heaven, and it's just like total beauty. I mean, the total opposite of what I saw in hell. And yeah, that was just what should I say? That just became my life. I mean, those heaven experiences, those first couple of years and those first 20 days, I mean, just incredible stuff. Because he would do it anytime he wanted to. And so it wasn't like I was trying to go to heaven or anything like that. All of a sudden I would be in heaven and be like, oh my, it's crazy. I was like, and people ask me how you do it, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, from what I read, it sounded amazing. Can you tell about some specifics of what you saw in heaven, like angels? And I mean, yeah, they were just amazing things.
Yeah, yeah, all the different angels and the cherubim and the living creatures. And there's like waterfalls there is one of my favorite places that me and him sat for a long time, several times, and you could see the Crystal Sea from there, and yeah, it was interesting because the waterfall was like about a quarter mile, long, but you couldn't hear the water. I mean, it's just incredible stuff. I mean, just the beauty of everything there. Everything has life, like a piece of grass has life of itself, and flower or a piece of dirt, anything. They all have life in itself. There's no death up there. Where hell's all death, this is all life. There's no decay. There's no. So yeah, that's one of my favorite places up on the mountain there. There's several different mountains I really enjoy up there. And
Now, did you see people you knew? Did you see animals?
I saw a couple of the prophets. Um, like an angel took me one time to the only street names I saw was Prophet Way and Prophet Lane. And I saw like Ezekiel's castle and stuff there, like the David's and I guess so. They were the prophets, I guess. Just amazing old medieval kind of things. Medieval, but yet brand new. I mean, it's hard to describe because something is alive and you can touch it and feel it and pick it up. But on the other hand, you can go right through it, which is, yeah, it's like it's undescribable. I mean, to put it in words on all this. But the beauty is the colors are nothing like on Earth. And that's some of the stuff I want to capture in the movie because no one's ever um, put anything out as far as visual of heaven, hell, and that's what I want to catch for the movie because
Right,
that's what.
and also you have the book I Met God in Hell. So, and we'll have that in the description. But I'm sorry, go on about the movie that you want to capture the colors and
Yeah, heaven and hell and more than the story, but yeah, just so people know that there is, in eternity, and you're going to end up in one of these two places. And yeah, to strive for heaven and because it's just so beautiful. It's just wonderful. The gold streets, and then there's the trees of life against the river. There's a river that flows, and there's an embankment that goes up, and the trees of life there, and then there's the two gold streets that go down. I mean, it's just gorgeous stuff. Just gorgeous. There's a library there with, I mean, just rooms and rooms of books and scrolls, and I mean, just unbelievable stuff.
now did you see the Book of Life?
Yes. He showed me my name in it, which was so like that is so cool. He just knows how to touch your heart.
What did it
And
look like? I mean, was it gigantic? What did the Book of Life look like?
it's hard to say if it was or I think it was, but it's hard to get a definition at times of what you're seeing. Like if when you're in the throne room and that, I mean, I've been there several times, and every time's a different look. I mean, you notice something over there that you never saw before, and so
It's like with this whole encounter, you changed so amazingly, but have seen the power of God do unbelievable miracles, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But oh, did you see any people that you knew in heaven?
well, the only person that said anything was Paul. He was teaching in this park with a group of people, and he looked at me and he pointed his finger and said, "Go," which I knew what he meant. And that was the only one that I really, I can't say that I saw anyone else that I knew in heaven.
Right, and he saw you.
Exactly, exactly. So I can't prophesy that there's more people in hell than in heaven, but as far as what I've seen, that's what I saw. And I don't want to prophesy that at all. You were asking me about my mom a little earlier. I think that's an important theme on the book. The first book, I May God in Hell, was the prayers of a mother, over our children are very powerful in that. And those prayers are before the throne because my mother didn't get to see this change of life and all that. And I knew she really wanted it and all that. So like in what was it, 2004, somewhere around there, maybe 2005. I was playing a Christian gig at one of the old Eastern like Gothic churches, all the stained glass and all that. And so I was up on stage and I'm playing like my solo time came. And then all of a sudden I noticed there's this wind like blowing in my hair. And I'm looking around, there's no wind blowing on anybody except for me. And then I look up and I see my mom and Jesus in back of her with his hands on her shoulders, and they're both just like smiling, you know. So I think that Jesus gave my mom that opportunity to look through that portal and to see that, hey, your prayers worked. And
Wow, wow. So it's like you had a glimpse of heaven with Jesus and your mom, and then her seeing. Very, very interesting. And when I think of the power of prayer, because it wasn't looking good with you for a long time, and then so many people could have given up, like forget it, I'm not praying for them anymore. But I want to know, were you instantly delivered of drugs, or did it take a few years after the hell encounter?
Well, I kept going back to it, and then one day it just bang, it left. And which is impossible because, I mean, heroin and all that. I mean, you would go into a massive, especially, doing the quantities that I was, um, not dying every day was a miracle. But yeah, you would have a serious detox for a long time. But yeah, it just left one day, and that was it. Never to look back on again. So that was beautiful.
Now, how did the Lord change you? Like, because I know that you felt like, before, like there was this anger and violence, like even towards your ex-girlfriend. How did
Oh
he
yeah,
change you in personality and all of that?
yeah, all of that. Well, the other thing, then the drug thing. I mean, I had track marks, needle marks all over my body. I mean, it was just total needle marks and all, and they disappeared that day when he took it away. Every single, just incredible. And yeah, what happened? What else was the deep-seated hatred and jealousy and rage and anger, with women or with whatever, I think it, came from like low self-esteem because most rock stars or most people don't have no self-esteem in this business. It's all, just a facade is all it is. And yeah, he just took all that stuff away from me, all the rage and all the craziness, of that lifestyle. I mean, it was a crazy life. And yeah, very I think there was a spirit like destruction on me, because yeah, I mean every night I try to, do something crazier than the night before, and I mean just yeah, just I should have died every night. That's the bottom line on it.
And do you think it also because it was the music? Because I know that you got into listening to harder rock. So, I mean, do you think like that the music changed you?
I do believe that. I mean, because yeah, I don't want to get into it too much, but yeah, I switched music somewhere around I guess 13, 14, I don't know, somewhere around that where punk rock was coming out in London. So, I went over to London and New York and all that to be a part of that gender or whatever at the time. And I mean, that was really self-destruction music. I mean, some of these bands and stuff like that, you know. And then and of course, everybody thought I was, more a heavy metal guitar player and all that kind of stuff. So, and even that gender, doesn't have too much to say the least. So, yeah, I think music, anything that goes through any of your gates, ear gates, your eye gates, and all that. That's why I don't watch TV for 25 years. And God said, turn that thing off. And I said, okay. And so,
I know there's so many distractions now. But Tim, what if people say to you, "Oh no, all these encounters, that was just from drugs." What would you say to them?
oh yeah, I heard all that in the first 5 years of it because I was, preaching all these little meetings and all that. And yeah, and of course, no one ever heard, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, nah, I've heard everybody come against it. But I mean, once you've experienced it, and no one can tell you anything different. I mean, you just know it. I mean, it's in you. So,
Well, what did your friends think? I mean, because you knew a lot of very famous rock people, and I mean, what did they think? Did they experience the power of God through you? I mean, I know that Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. Tell me what happened with him.
yeah, that was in the second book I wrote, the Brian Wilson story. Um, Paula opened the door for me at Capitol Records. She was the producer for the studios there, or president of the studios, and they brought everybody in, of course. You know, everybody that recorded at Capitol and that. And so my first day there, I was there and I met his family and his grandkids and all that. And I didn't really know who they were and all that. And then Paula introduced me and she says, "Hey, Tim, this is Brian Wilson." And so I shook his hand and he goes flying back into the wall. It was so funny. And he goes, "Who are you?" I go, "I'm Tim." Yeah. And yeah, he was just like looking at me like, "Oh, there's something going on here,
So he really felt the power of God.
Yes.
And
Yeah, there's several miracles at Capitol. I think there's a couple of livers cured and diabetes of some producers and engineers and other people there. Even I think presidents of some of the labels there. Yeah, yeah, God was doing His work, and yeah, I mean, I got to talk to everybody because the way the studios were set up, they're all right next to each other on the first floor, A, B, and C. So there's like a narrow hallway between them. So you would meet everybody that was recording there that day. So I was there for 5 years, got open, kept that door open. So yeah, so I preached to everybody, in love and all that, and yeah, very
now, I mean, how
interesting.
did you have that open door? I mean, I know it's supernatural from the Lord, but I mean, didn't they know? Oh, yeah, he's the Jesus person. I mean, what did people think, and how did they allow you there?
Yeah, really, because they didn't allow Christian bands to record there, of course. But it was Paula heard about. She was, I think, the only Christian in Capitol at the time. I'm not sure if there's more or now or not. And so she called me in one day. I called there, tried to get in and all that, and so she said, "Yeah, I heard about you out on the streets here in Hollywood and this and that, um, with what you're doing, the preaching, the miracles, and all that." And she goes, "Is that stuff real and all that?" She was like a baby, one, like just started to believe and all that. And I'm like, "Yeah, this stuff's real and all that." So we had like a couple hour discussion, and then she watched me the first couple of times in, spaced them out, and then by the end of it, I had every Friday at Capitol. So it was, and the money came in from donations and all that. And yeah, so for 5 years, it was incredible.
Okay, what happened with the rain? There was I know a story of what somebody was like saying, "Can you make it?" I mean, who was that? Can you say who that was and what happened?
I'm not sure who his name was. At this point, I met, man, what is his name? Metro Ministry, Bill Wilson up in New York. I met him through Cornerstone TV. I was like a prayer person up there. And then he came over and said, "Hey, I heard all about you and this and that." Yeah. He goes, "You ever want to be a street pastor? Come on up. I'll teach you." I said, "Okay, sure." So about a year and a half later, the Lord said, "Yeah, go up." So I went up, and so as I was, doing the work and all this, there was a bunch of pastors. I was out one day down Manhattan, and so I was telling them about the power of God and all that, and they weren't believing the miracles or anything. I said, "Yeah, that's what God does, and all that." And then the one pastor was getting smart. He was like, "Oh, you think you're Elijah?" I just started laughing, yeah, whatever. And he goes, if you are, then why don't you call rain down? And then the Lord told me go for it. I was like, really? So I said rain, and the rain just started coming down. It was like, oh my, it shocked me. But I was like, and they were all just like, oh wow, this is crazy. And yeah, I just went home. I went back I was living in an old hospital there, which is their main headquarters now, I guess. And I just said, thank you, Lord.
Well, Tim, you also got very ill. I mean, I thought you were basically close to being on maybe in hospice. I mean, what happened with that?
Yeah, I went back to Hollywood in, what was it, in 22, just to see what was going on. And yeah, I got cancer. I mean, I couldn't even walk like a block, and I was like bleeding everywhere, my mouth and everywhere. And yeah, and so got to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and they said you have cancer, and then they said you've got about a month to live or whatever. I mean, it's like throughout you, all these big tumors or whatever. And God said, yeah, I'm gonna heal you. So I said, okay. So my son came and brought me back. Um, I had to be wheelchaired in and all, whole 9 yards. I mean, couldn't even walk or nothing. And then God said, "Go see your one buddy," and that was Billy Berg. And so I went there. He had a meeting, and he prayed for me. And about 4 or 5 months later, I just kept, following the Lord and what He was telling me what to do. And yeah, it all went away. The big tumors, and my stomach was out like that. I mean, it's just crazy. And yeah, so God
Well,
did a great miracle.
wow. Now, how many years ago was that?
That's gonna be 4 years now.
Wow. Now, what were some of the keys that the Lord was telling you after Billy Burke prayed that yeah, for healing?
Well, the one thing was do he said do two of those immunotherapies. So I did two of those, and he said quit. So I quit, and all the doctors are there like, well, that ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, you got to do this for a year or whatever, or more. And I told him God's gonna heal me here, and because they gave me the same thing when I came back to Pittsburgh, they said, you got a month to live. We'll just try to keep you sedated. So they were expecting me to die there, of course, and so most of them, like 9 out of 10 or whatever, the doctor said this is a miracle. I mean, this is impossible. There's no way that could happen. And yeah, so It was beautiful, and this is just like what God said. So I think it's a listen and obey thing. He had me do communion. He had me speak words of faith into me every day. Yeah, there's just certain things he was saying to do, every day or every month or in that. And as I just obeyed, and yeah, I guess it was about 4 months when it was all done and said, yeah, it was gone.
Wow. So, since you've been like in the music industry but then you've heard angelic voices, you obviously know how to move in the power of worship. What keys would you say to people because I know when I'm really worshiping the Lord, it just seems to open where doors and to be in his presence and I see more of the miraculous. I mean, what would you say regarding the power of worship?
Yeah, I think it's the true heart, which is the more than the expertise in musicianship. Because I've put things together with people that never played an instrument or with the Native Americans. I did a couple year tour with them all over North America, Alaska, Canada, all that. And just the wood instruments and all the primitive, could you say, instruments in that. But the people had like a pure heart that were playing. And that's, I saw a lot of presence there, come in. Then I saw other ones that just, I mean, there's never two the same, which is the cool thing. You never know when it's going to happen or anything. Another time I was like just silly drunk, and this one pastor invited me in to play a song or whatever, and I was just like, man, I just couldn't stop laughing. I think I was really annoying people. And this
Uh,
girl, I'm sitting in this yeah, I'm sitting in this front row, and she's totally blind from birth, and so I go up. Now remind I never write lyrics until I get on stage, and then I just write them right there. I don't preconceive lyrics until I play it or record it.
wow.
And so, yeah, it leaves it open to the room of what's going on so you can actually, prophesy into whatever's going on or whatever. And so I walked up and I said, "This one's for you." And so I played it, and it was something about the father's love for her, and I mean, it turned out to be a beautiful song in that, and like real mellow and all that. And then so I come back, and she starts screaming, and her eyes opened, and I was just laughing still because I was still out there,
Right,
and
drunk in the Holy Spirit.
yes, exactly, and so yeah, I mean. That was a crazy miracle there.
Wow, so Tim, so that was the first time she ever saw it? I mean, how old was she?
Yeah, she was wow, she's like late 40s, early 50s, I would think. Yeah, really cool miracle. Yeah, God's love all over her.
Now, any other miracles that you want, or any other supernatural events that happened that come to mind right now?
The one I like is there was this young lady, and this is when I was in Pittsburgh, and her husband called me. He was recording and all that in one of the studios I record at. And then they said, "Why don't you give this guy a call?" And they were trying to get her baptized. And she was, tattooed head to toe, and all that kind of stuff, and heroin addict and a prostitute. And so no pastor would baptize her. And so they called me, and so I said, "Yeah, sure." Well, of course, I asked God first, but yeah, he said, "Yeah." And so I said, "Yeah, why don't you come on up?" I think they were from West Virginia, and that. And so, yeah, me and my son were praying around this little park down there by the river and that. And when she came, the Lord said, baptize her in spirit first. I said, okay. So, so we are talking that, and then we just laid hands on her, and both of us went on. I said, wow, that's really wow, because I've never really experienced all that, you know. And and she says, wow, the voices left my head. All these voices she had in that. And we found out later that was the drugs leaving because she never did drugs again. And yeah, and of course she never slept around anymore. She was married to this guitar player. So and then the Lord said, prophesy. What was it? Three things to her. She's a seer. She's a what was it? A prophet. She's a healer. Yeah, she can see third heavens, and she's a healer. And yeah, so that day, so we baptized her in the river, and this light came. I mean, it was a light that everybody saw, and everybody like stood around, and it came like right on her. You know, it was so yeah. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it stopped everybody. Just everybody just stopped when they saw it. It was so cool. And so baptized her. And I said, you heard what God said. So she went on, she started healing people. She never read the Bible and never been to church or nothing like that. And and so she went into parks in the beginning, and everyone got healed 100%, which is incredible. I mean, 100%. And then I said, well, how are you doing? She goes, I don't know how to pray, Timmy. I put my arms around them and I start crying. And I said, Jesus heals you. And then they get healed. I said, that is so beautiful. I mean, it's just so pure right there. And
It sounds like walking in God's compassion and love.
yes, exactly. That's the whole story here. I think, God's love.
Absolutely. Now I know.
Uh-huh.
Now I know you have had these like visions of seeing biblical events like Noah and even Jesus's crucifixion. Can you explain that?
Well, yeah, that crucifixion was too much. I mean, all of a sudden, like I'm in that realm of that day, and it's just like I was there. I mean, right there between Mary and John, and I could hear everything. I mean, the like I said, everything's like heightened like 1,000%, all your senses. And I could hear the driving those stakes into his arms. I mean, it was like, oh my God, it was horrible. I mean, just totally horrible. Um, yeah, and yeah, so I got to experience that. It just broke my heart. I think he needed to break my heart in that moment, show what really happened and this and that. And yeah, he took me into a couple of places, different realms, like Noah and that. So that was more of a quick one from what I remember. But
Now, when you would see these things, would it be more like a movie or were you there?
I was there. But it'd be like a movie. There was this one time I'm driving down the road and God wants to show me something. So all of a sudden, it's like a movie theater. It's like I should have got popcorn out or something, like on my windshield, and I'm like watching this movie. And he wanted to point something out to me about a couple of people or whatever. And so I'm like standing there, so we're sitting there watching this movie, and then it's all over. It's like boom. And then I know it's like I'm 20 miles down the road. Like who was driving? It's just crazy.
And I think a lot of this happens to you because Tim, you definitely are living in His presence. Um, yeah, I mean, you devoured the Bible once you started reading the Bible, and you definitely make me and others more even more hungry for the Lord. Would you be able to pray for those who are watching who don't know the Lord? And for
Sure,
those who do,
sure.
that they would have a deeper encounter.
Yes. Father, we just thank you. We thank you for today. We thank you for this broadcast. Let them all get to know you. Let them all get to know you even better, even better. Let the relationship that you have with me and may it be transferred to each and every person. May the relationship just grow and grow and grow, knowing who you are, that you are love itself, that when you need anything, you just have to come to Him in His love, because He has everything that we could possibly want on this earth. We just say we love you, Lord. We love you. Save your children, Lord. That's what you told me. Timmy, I saved you. Now you go save my children. So, Lord, just let this broadcast save millions. Just save millions. Let it just blow up, and people say, wow, there is really something after all this. And let them know the horrors of hell and the beauty of heaven, Lord. Let them know how beautiful you are, how beautiful you are. And everything you do is perfection. We just ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Brian died, saw every level of hell, and even witnessed where the worst ones go. Click the video to find out who he saw there.